Tonight's Sichos Musar, we have the tremendous privilege to hear from Rabbi Bender, Yeshiva Darchei Torah, a very, very, very special yeshiva. Rabbi Bender's stamp is on this yeshiva of Varmkeit and recognizing the godless of every individual neshama that's in that yeshiva. Rabbi Bender is renowned, goes around speaking about chinuch, lecturing and teaching and inspiring for all of us to be our best and to be the best teachers that we can be also. Rabbi Bender is actually very well connected to yeshiva. The last time he spoke for Sichos Musar, he's been here since, but about 5 years ago he gave Sichos Musar to the Beis Medrash, but not in the Beis Medrash. It was Corona. And he came on Zoom, and I remember him saying at that time that Mirz Hashem, he should come and give Sichos Musar in the Beis Medrash, in person. So that we're Mekayim that Mirz Hashem tonight. But his connection to YU is great. He's cousins with the president, Rabbi Berman, and his grandfather, Rabbi Bender's grandfather, who came over from Europe. I hope I'm not getting the facts wrong, but I remember him saying the last time that he gave Sichos Musar, he worked for YU.
I'm still living.
No, your grandfather.
I said, but I'm still living.
Yeah, you're still living.
Okay, thank you very much.
We're very lucky to have him.
Thank you very much. I'm going to believe it. You know, the truth is we are close cousins, the Bermans. My father was nifter. Very young. And so Julius Berman, we call him Rabbi Yudel Berman, used to visit my mother Mamish every week, you should know. My mother's a widow, young widow, and I was home. I remember him coming to visit on a regular basis. And Teddy, before he moved to Israel, Teddy is our president's father. And he used to visit also very rarely before we moved to Israel. So it's nice to be here. My grandfather worked at Yeshiva University when it was called REITS. It's called Yeshiva Rabbi Yitzchak HaDin. And he came from Slonim in the middle of World War I to raise money because he was the manal of the Slonim Yeshiva in Slonim, as a city in Lithuania. And he got stuck here and he ended up working very close to Rabbi Belkin. It's a long story. Okay, you don't hear that tonight. Okay. Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha ki chashalta b'aveinecha. Last week's Shabbos is called Shabbos Shuva. Why is it called Shabbos Shuva? Because the Haftarah begins with the word Shuva Yisrael. Shuva Yisrael means return, Klal Yisrael. It should be called Shabbos Teshuvah. No, the Haftarah. So my mother once came out with me. My mother was a survivor, and she almost had nothing. She ran. My father was an American who lived here with my grandfather, obviously, and my mother, they ran, and they got out of Europe December 1, 1939. I remember the day, September 1, 1939. The day the war began, bombs were falling already when they left. But she saved one little notebook of a great-grandfather, a grandfather of hers, a great-grandfather of mine. His name was Reb Shmuel Shachar was his name, Shachar, Shmuel Tzvi Shachar. And I started looking at the notes, and it said the following, yes, the Kasha. Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. Return to Israel until Hashem. Ki choshalta ba'avenecha, you've been caught up in your averis. Chui machem dvarim v'shuvu el Hashem. Take those words and return to Hashem. So my Zayda asked, what does it mean ad, till? What does it mean el? Seems to be, he said that ad means up until, but not quite. Even the old machlaik is ad v'ad b'chlal, ad v'layad b'chlal. Whatever it means, fine, but ad means up until. And el means to. So he answered, I think, which is, I don't know if this is mamish pshat, but he answered, I think it's certainly correct. The thought idea is correct. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want to see us until we take care of B'nai L'chaverei. He can't. You got to take care of the ad first. If you take care of the ad, then it's el. Kui mechem dvarim, v'shuvu el Hashem. If you go there, without that, it's nothing worth. Many chazal about that, without taking care of B'nai L'chaverei. So what's B'nai L'chaverei? I want to tell you a story right at the beginning. Ma'aseh Shehoya. I think I'm a big shot. I'm running a big yeshiva, close to 3,000 talmidim, not as big as Yeshiva University, but it's a big yeshiva. You know, I'm very comfortable with myself, for Hashem. I went to Eretz Yisrael for a day and a half. A bachur in our yeshiva without parents got married. Ma'aseh Shehoya. So I went to Yisrael Kedushin. I sat down at a meal. My nature is, I sat down at a meal, and I said, Shalom Aleichem, to the person next to me. He says, Shalom Aleichem. I'm using his name, not the real name, okay? You'll know why in a minute. He says, you know, I'm Chaim Goldstein. I mamish gave a shudder for a minute. I started shaking, and he saw that. He says, you know, I did stupid things, cute me, he said to me, when I was younger. He was the biggest bully in Torah B'das. I'm not taking the same person, I was saying his name. He was the biggest bully in Torah B'das. Bully means found the weaknesses of people and exploit those weaknesses. That's a bully. Takes advantage. I was a shrimpy kid. I'd skipped twice. I was a genius. I skipped twice in the classes. Here I am in the 9th grade, not even my mitzvah yet, and he's bullying me, and he bullied other kids also. 55 years later, I meet this guy, and I shook for a second. Because this guy bullied me 55 years earlier. It doesn't go away when you hurt somebody. It doesn't go away. Now, I said, of course, Shalom Aleichem, he did some things, but he didn't do was in Es Bechila. That's a problem. It's a problem. I did stupid things, shkoyach. He's a father now and a grandfather now. Chazal tell us it's not stupid things when you hurt somebody else. It's mean things. They say over Reb Chaim Salvation was once walking with Talmidim. I heard it reliably. I try never to say over reliably with Talmidim. And he saw a Chevron Shegitz taking a big stone and throwing it through a window. Throwing it right through a window. And so someone, Talmidim Reb Chaim, says to him, I'm a Meshugana. I said, no. He says, he's not a Meshugana. He's a normal person. A Meshugana throws a stone through his own window. He's throwing a stone through somebody else's window. That's not a Meshugana. He knows exactly what he's doing. When you hurt somebody, you hurt them forever. I was giving a shir in Baltimore before a wedding. I was one teacher in Baltimore. And talking about Yanam of Chinuch, a shir in Yanam of Chinuch. And people wait around always. They wait around, after the shir is over, there's questions, they come around, they schmooze, they talk. And they was waiting out. One guy comes over to me, and he's waiting, and they're looking it through the room. I'm embarrassed with the story because it was a more modern school, didn't really have rebellion, whatever it was. It was a Rebbe mode. I don't know what he was exactly. He says, how do I get out of my system? The man was 78 years old. A great-grandfather, married, a wife, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. When he was in 6th grade, whoever was the Rebbe, whatever it was, 6th grade, says to the class, the last shir before Pesach, he says to the class, there's more than just chametz. Chametz is we know the halachas of and the chametz in the Torah. There's also chametz and averis. You got to clean out your averis. Chazal call averis chametz also. He says, that's a very bad thing, chametz. But in this class, he said, we have a shtick chametz over there, meaning me, this guy. And I can't get it out of my system. I sat with him for a long time. I became a therapist. I sat for a long time, explained to him, you really should go to therapy. Because when you hurt somebody, say the wrong thing, chas v'shalom, how bad it could be. How bad it could be. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want anything to do with us. You have to look back at history. How did I hurt somebody? How did I? When if someone's complaining years later, or I'm standing there and a guy by a table and I throw a chasana, the guy says to me, I did stupid things. He did avlos. When we hurt somebody else, you need bechila, you need bechila b'peh, you need it. And our job is to bechazek Jews. There's a very big Ramban. It's not much required. The Ramban is it's such an important Ramban. The Ramban says, by the mice with the Slav, Moshe Rabbeinu has a very difficult discussion with HaKadosh Baruch Hu after the story of the Slav. Very difficult discussion. And they're talking about what happened, what Klal Yisrael did and didn't do, etc., etc. And he's complaining, have I didn't raise these children, they're not mine, I can't handle them anymore. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, Esfali Shivim Ish Mizikna Yisrael. Gather for me 70 men, Sanhedrin, they'll help you out, they'll take care. Where I take the meat? I can't have it, I can't do it. First of all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, I have no problem, I can give you as much meat as you want, no problem. And I have a chalakat, they God, they Ruvain, all the tremendous amount of cattle they had. Didn't appear something when they went to Israel. Okay, whatever, without the Torah now. So where am I going to get the meat for them? God says, no problem. Esfali Shivim Ish Mizikna Yisrael. We'll work together, right? They'll help you out. The Ramban says, Kamat, these words, they're not butchers. The 70s kingdom are not butchers. They're not. So how are they going to help Moshe Rabbeinu? Remember the words he uses, I didn't bring with me, he says over there, not that their job is elderly people, to calm them down. When people are excited and nervous, calm them down. At the end of Perek Zayin, when Haman is finally gotten rid of, so they will do that job for you. Older people could do that. In the yeshiva, in a Beis Medrash, Erev Kippur, I don't talk Muslim. Today you can talk more. It's 2 days, the HaDin. There's people hurting. You're a bacha. You could say, you have an opportunity to take care of the bacha. the opposite of aver b'nei l'chaver, to be mekar of the guy, work with the guy. You see he's hurting. I hate to hold his nipple pad, the word neb, or the word Harry. These guys in yeshiva, the nebs, you call him a Harry one time, not pashut, the kid might remember the rest of his life. The word neb, bad word, bad word. Go over, in the Beis Medrash, you can do chesed all day long without leaving the walls of the Beis Medrash. You can do chesed with other people. Baron Leib, Steinman, Baron Leib, who was nifted about 6 or 7 years ago, spoke in Afikim, one of the biggest yeshivas in Eretz Yisrael. By Shchaydish El, you know what he spoke about? About 10 years before he was nifter. He spoke about taking care of the new Bachram. Go over to them. Say hello to them. There's a stolz some days. First year, second year, third year, fourth year. Enough of me. You go over to a Bachar. That's our job. Bechazik another Jew. There's a Meridika Balaturim in the beginning of Eschanan. Meridika Balaturim is the first Balaturim of Eschanan. This is the following. Moshe wants to go into Eretz Yisrael, yeah? He wants to go into Eretz Yisrael. And he's arguing, Kaviyachal, he's arguing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He wants to go into Eretz Yisrael. Doesn't go. Machlaikis, if you'd have said one tefillah, would he gone into Eretz Yisrael? HaKadosh Baruch Hu stopped him. That's it. Can't anymore. I can't do anymore. No one with tefillahs. What do Moshe Rabbeinu say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu should allow him to go into Eretz Yisrael. I took them out of Mitzrayim. I didn't want to go. You forced me to go to Eretz Yisrael. You forced me to take him out of Mitzrayim. He couldn't talk, right? He didn't have it. He didn't call. He could. Lo yish dvar manaychi. I can't do it. 7 days, achloikis. And I went. I took him out of Mitzrayim. I took him across the Yam Suf. I did everything I could. Right? I took him in the midbar. They gave me a hard time. Listen to the words. He says these words about him. He says 6 words. Chizakti es Yisrael. I was mechazik Jews. Ulai yirachim alai. You heard Rabbi say. He didn't give him the long list of things that he did to help out the Yidden in Mitzrayim. No. Chizakti es Yisrael. I gave chizuk to a Klal Yisrael, to a Yidden. I gave chizuk to a Yidden. Ulai yirachim alai. Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu rachmanas on me. We're sitting in the Beis Medrash, a chashav Beis Medrash. Every time I come here, I've been a number of times where you're booking, you see the Kol HaTorah. It's not push at 9:30 at night. You see B'ch Hashem. But there's another step you could do without leaving the Beis Medrash. There's another major step you could do. It's caring about other people. Caring about other people. And you don't know later on in life what it could do for another person. You have no asaga in learning. He's a very chashuv young man now in yeshiva. He's a Rebbe now in Beis Medrash. He probably was the best Talmud we ever had in yeshiva. He married into hierarchy in Lakewood. Married the daughter of one of the Rosh Yeshiva. He's a very modest fellow. Very modest fellow, but he got a little tipsy in Purim one year. With none of the guys drinking yeshiva. This guy drank, I'm kidding. The kid says, so a little bit of tipsy became a little bit, and I said to him, tell me, Avramela, how did you become like this? I couldn't answer that question. During the year, he laughed at me. What are you talking about? He was tipsy, not a little bit, maybe a lot. And he says to me these words, I took 6 chavrusas, 10 minutes a day, 6 of the weaker kids in the yeshiva. I learned with them. I think that's what gave me my siyata d'shmaya. I mean, he's a giant today in learning. There's bachrim that would love, especially if you're a chashav bachrim. We all know who the chashav bachrim are. We know who the strong bachrim are. We shouldn't know who the weaker ones are. We know who the leaders are. If the leader, the koyach you have, you know what you have, the koyach, what you are? I learned that lesson a long time ago through siyata d'shmaya. I'll tell you a story. So in the Beis Medrash, Rabbi said, a bachar that's struggling, give him a few minutes. I'm trying to stick to the positive side. The negative side, I told you before already. I told you one guy who I got shook up how many years later? I told you one guy, an 80-year-old man, 70-year-old man. Yeah, I try to be machamav with every single parent. It's not shaykh out of town. The yeshiva is obviously very large, B'li Ayin Hara. So I can't get around to every single parent, but I try. I try to work it out. I have a wedding in Brooklyn, so I'll go, that's the person sitting in Brooklyn, I'll work it out before. There were 2 women sitting Shiva. And I try to go to everybody. And I had an off night. Off night means the weddings come out every single night. The whole day was, it's a type said, go to Brooklyn. And Yitzhara says, what do you need it for? Meshuggah, whatever the Bachlaik is going on, we all have that. Every morning we get up in the morning, it's hard to get out of bed. No, the Yitzhara type says, to sleep a little bit, or rather Yitzhara. Whatever it is, Vikuach going on in our heads. And I walked out the door, and Mamish didn't know if I'm making a right turn to Marine Park Bridge, there was no Farakway. Yeah, Rabinowitz, he knows a little bit. He's one boy that's here. I saw before. Or there's or you go left, you go to the left, you go back, I'm going back home. Sakana, really, if I go home, my wife will pass out. She won't know what I'm doing at home. But whatever it is, I went to Brooklyn. I walked into the first house on Ocean Parkway, 8:30 at night. That what you would say clearly is prime time. Prime time, mama's prime time, no? Prime time, I walk in there, the lady stands up, Malaika Masa for me, and which she shouldn't do really, it's not so pashut. And I sat down right across her, and tell me, which I always do now, by the way, I always say to the Oval, I say, tell me about your father, tell me about your mother. It happened to me one time, I went to me in Nichem Avelim, and the whole conversation was about the Mets. None of us want to talk about the Mets right now. Okay, the kids don't, really, don't start with them. The kids so I said, from then on, I can't. So I said, tell me about your father. And the nicest things come out. I said to this lady, tell me about your father. A survivor. And she told me story after story of how he managed, how he survived. I walked out 9 o'clock, not one single person had walked in. And I left that house to go to another house in Flatbush. I got there 9:15. Oto Davar, the same thing. Nobody. I don't know, pshat. It happens. Nobody. One lady came in by the second house to say, maybe you need something, food, whatever, to the lady. I looked at her, I said, uncle, you blew it almost. You almost blew it. You had a suffix going and not going, yeah? Yeah, look at you, almost blew it over there. And I hit the, it's always bothered me. What does it mean? The Gemara says, Talmud Chacham, or even any chashva person has to have a shmini shebashminis of gaiva. If gaiva, let's say, is 64 parts, imagine a big ball. There's 64 parts of that ball. The Talmud Chacham, the regular person should have 1/64 of gaiva. Why? Gaiva is a terrible thing. Akadosh Baruch Hu says on gaiva very strong, Anivahu ein yichayil loder b'dira achas. I can't live with Gaiva in the same room, the same house, the same building, the same world. I can't live with him. I need it for, it hit me. You are nothing, but for the other guy, you are something. Yaakov Bender, you're the head of a school. You walked in, you saw the difference it made. Every bach is sitting here. Yeshiva Bach Marab, say. You are the best of the best. When you go back to shul, and you walk into shul, and people say, here's the Talmud of Yeshiva University right now, sitting and learning. That's what people say about you. You're not hanging out on the streets. You are the best. And you have to know who you are, so you can accomplish with other people. In Malach HaVeri, you could pick up another person just saying hello, saying good morning, Rabbi say. Just saying, Rabbi Yerucham writes, Yerucham Levavitz, Mashiach and Miri Yeshiva in Europe, he writes over there, he brings really Kotz Ramban, whatever it is, he says, he says, if you stand by the door, and you gave everybody, they didn't have any food in Europe. My father was in Altenbury, Namir. They said, they ate what's called teg, stancias. Rabbi Sorokia, may you did. He's with me, his father also was in the mirror. And it was very hard, didn't have food. But imagine if you stood by the door every morning and you gave everybody a hot glass of milk. That was special in those days, it seems. If you smile to somebody, he says on the passage, so Gemara about it. He says, you should know that a smile to somebody else could give all the gezach. We're looking for schusim. We want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to look down upon us and smile about us. We want that. We want Rachman B'din, which is what the Stipler writes about. It's all about Rachman B'din. That's all we want. So, how about us having Rachmanis to somebody else? Rabbi say, forgive me. You all have phones, correct? How many times do you call your mother during the week? Anybody call your mother every single night? Go ahead, raise your hand high. You be proud. 2 people, 3, very good, 4. Not bad, 5. Not bad. 4, how many? Not good. My father, Zechron Levracha, once told me that they showed the Chavetz Chaim on radio when it came out in the early 1920s. The Chavetz Chaim's reaction immediately was, this will be Kachim, this channel, and this will be Nezikin, this will be Musa, this will be... What's the phone created for? For the WhatsApps, the hack? I, Baruch Hashem, don't have any of the WhatsApps. Baruch Hashem, I know what's going on. I hear people talking. None of this stuff. What's the phone created for? To know, it keeps me so busy. The chats, Lashon Hara chats, what's it for? I asked the ladies, Yeshiva, they tell me their average woman is on 25 different chats a day. They don't talk to the kids anymore. Reed's Lane is a major block in our neighborhood. You walk down Reed's Lane. The mothers used to talk to their children. No more. They're talking to the phone, on the phone. That's what we do. A phone was made, a derech eretz for your wife. If you don't call your wife twice a day, what's wrong with you? I asked this question. I spoke in Lakewood the other night, a function, a parlor meeting. How many guys call your wives twice a day? I don't want to tell you the reaction. A few hundred people were there. Of course you call your wife. What's the shiloh? You call your mother. You call your father. You have grandparents. I took the boys, call them, talk to them. I asked them to write letters. They don't know what letters are anymore. No one knows what writing a letter. They don't know what a stamp is. No one knows anything anymore. You have emails and that's it, the short way of writing. You don't have anything else. What's it made for? What's it made for, the phone? So one bocha says to me, I can't write. I have 11 parents and great-grandparents. 11 parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. I said, Nebuch, you have a problem. You have a problem, Nebuch. I grew up in Tarvadas in the 1950s and 60s. No one had grandparents. No one had grandparents, everybody said. Nobody. I had a grandfather, I had a Zayda. Wow, my Bubba was Nifta. You know, we went to have a Zayda in my class. There were 35 boys in Tarvadas. Times 4, right? 4 grandparents you could have, right? Easy math. 140 people, correct? We had 10 altogether, mostly from 3 families. So you have a great-grandfather, you have a grandmother. You know what it does to them? I write them a note. Where's the Manana Chaverai? Why was the phone created, everybody say? Why was it created? It was created for this reason. To mahana people that are close to you, to bring them, to do something with them. That's what it's all about. You're going into din, Kadosh Baruch Hu, you make deals. You make deals with Kadosh Baruch Hu. Take care of me, I'll take care of my grandparents. You make deals. You make Kabbalah. It's a hard Kabbalah. It's a difficult Kabbalah, Rabbi say. To say you'll call your wife or call your mother. I know the younger lady, only Bacham, I don't know what you have over here. So what? You'll get married with one day, all you Mitzvah Shem. So, you know then. It's elementary, Rabbi say, elementary. To go ahead and use the opportunities we have today to make it easier, to do a mitzvah, a chaparain. It's in a yeshiva, Rabbi say, in a yeshiva, it's amazing what one person can accomplish in a yeshiva. On your bench. You know, everyone talks about what's my job? Kiruv or learning. What's my job? Kiruv in the learning. There's no machlekes here of kiruv. You sit in the yeshiva. You have another bach and you work with him. That's what I'm a of the umpteenth degree. We want Kadosh Baruch Hu to do that to us. That's what we have to work it out. And Kadosh Baruch Hu loves every single person. If not, it could be with Kafi Taiv, Rabbi say. It could be. It could be if we don't really do nicely by our parents or Harusas or people. Maybe Kafi Taiv. I always said Pshat, Harimus Kasha is in Parashat Bikurim, right? V'anisav amarta she'eincha Kafi Taiv. I'm sure you heard the Kasha before. That you're not a Kafi Taiv. You're not an ingrate. Best word. You're not an ingrate. You're a good guy. The Welt fixed the Kasha. V'anisav amarta that I'm makir Taiv. Why not makir Taiv? There's an instance in the Kasha. I like my own. Everybody likes their own svar a little bit. If you're not a makir Taiv, you're a Kafi Taiv. If you wake up in the morning and you don't say Kadosh Baruch Hu, thank you, you say the bracha, the kind of shama. Thank you for waking me up. You're a Kafi Taiv. You're a Kafi Taiv. The world was created for us. What a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. And what about parents? What about parents? You know, my mother, Shalom, was a survivor. I think back now, there were no phones. I used to travel. I was learning in the Philadelphia yeshiva. My brother, Reb Chaim Epstein, said, you come home, Yaakov, and be with your mother. I was 15 years old. I traveled the next 8 years, come out 8 years, on the subways morning and night. It wasn't fun then either. I came home at 11 o'clock at night. I'm Megazim. I couldn't call my mother. You can't get out of the train and make a phone call from a phone booth, something called phone booths. That never worked. You can't do that. So I came home 11:15. My mother's was always Yankel, Chakemat, you're from the police. I almost called the police. The tsar we cause parents when we go away with our cars and we come back in the middle of the night and they're worrying. What do you think a parent thinks about right away? You know what he thinks about? The kid's Levi the next day. The kid is thinking, the parent right away, he's an accident. We should live and be well. 20 yards. We should live and be well. But we have to think about our parents. We have to think about our wives. We've got to think about the guy sitting next to you in the Beis Medrash. You want that it should be, build it up. You could do tremendous things, Rabbi say. You don't have to look very, very far, really. But to have machlokes, chas v'shalom, machlokes, I don't want to get into that negative end, machlokes. Rabbi Soroka, your father went to Shanghai, I believe, right? Shanghai, doesn't know the story, don't know the story. Mir Yeshiva escaped. Chazdei Hashem, they came here without families. I had 2 boys in my class in Mir Yeshiva. Mir Yeshiva, 2 boys in my class, I was learning there. They were first cousins, inseparable. And then they left at the end of the, and one went to college, one went to learn, whatever they did. And one of them got married and invited me to the chasna. I came to the chasna, and lo and behold, his best friend, his cousin, is not there. I wasn't looking for Lashon Hara. I said, what happened to Chaim? He used the name Chaim. What happened to Chaim? He didn't hear. Chaim's father and his uncle, meaning each of these boys had a father that survived. No families, no grandparents, no nothing. Their brothers, 2 brothers, survived through Shanghai. Right? They ran away to China. It's a long, long story, not for now. They ran away, and they had a fight over Narishkeit. And they don't talk to each other. The kids can't go to each other's weddings. Can't go. What? That's what we survived for? We survived that we can't see each other's simchas? 37 years they didn't talk to each other, Rabbi say, until the one was nifta. That's Rachman Bedin. We have to see to it that we should be the ones, and your matzav, you have to know who you are, Rabbi say. You're sitting in the Beis Medrash of Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan. You're the smetana, you're the cream. I mean that. You're the smetana, you're the cream of the whole university. There's nothing in university that matches anything that Reitz puts out, Kanahara. You are the cream. And the way you go, that's where others will go. You can't put yourself down, like I said before. You have to realize who you are and what you are. It's a schus for me to be, I mean it. It's a schus to talk to the elevated people who are sitting and learning. I was this problem. I came 2 years ago when my cousin Ari, the president, made us see him. They made a Siyam Hashasi in 30 days, guys. A real Siyam Hashasi. They made a real Siyam Hashasi over here. I came that time to the Siyam Hashasi, of course. You're the chashivste guys. And you have to set the tone for your younger brothers and sisters, by the way. Whoever you are, could be the babies of the family. I don't know who you are or what you are. But it could be, but you have to understand what you can't do. You can't do. My mother, Shalom, I'll finish on time for Mariv. My mother, Shalom, was a survivor. A survivor. She lost the whole family, Kamat, the entire family. Her parents were killed by the Nazis, Yimach Shvam. All that. And then she was a widow for longer than she was married. My mother never, ever yelled at us. You know that? My mother never ever gave us, in those days a patch was a normal thing, a father and a mother. Today it's also a normal thing. You know, never gave us a patch. Never yelled at us. Ever. Ever never yelled at us. She would say, Yankel, I'm disappointed in you. 10 times a day she'd say it maybe, but I'm disappointed in you. But a survivor, but she trained herself just to be sweet and to be nice. This is your father, doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. You have to have fun in your children also. A father can embarrass a child also. When you're a Rebbe, some of you will become Rebbeim one day. You're not allowed to embarrass somebody. Even the Talmud stands on the window, he's making somersaults in the back of the room, you got to be careful. How do you do it? It's not for now. The point is, we have opportunities on a daily basis. We Kaddish Kvayit Shemayim. And to do that, we had such people. Last day, I don't know, this Shlomo Haim, I won't finish it. My father had his chus of being the Chavrusa of Shlomo. Shlomo was Rosh Yeshiva of Tervadas. He brought really Baruch Ber's Torah to America. Baruch Ber, Birka Shmuel was the one who really founded Shlomo Haim, made Shlomo Haim into Ben Torah. Baruch Ber was the ultimate Talmud of Reb Chaim Soloveitchik, ultimate Talmud. Shlomo Haim gave it a shiurim. I don't go through all the names of people who went through shiurim. He really built Torah in America to a large degree. The shiurim that Shlomo Haim gave, I heard from a person of the Shia, listen how you treat a wife. Reb Shlomo, the Shia was the biggest thing, nothing bigger than the Shia. My father was, I think it was Chavrusa, my father talked about those days, mamish, like, and that's what I remember a little bit. I was young. One day, there was a huge explosion in Williamsburg. That's what Tervadas was. Shlomo Haim understood what he was. The Shia was Kachei Kadishim. Reb Donan Garish, the Chetzadik Levracha, was a Talmud. Once told me, Donan Garish was a yeshiva, was Elyon and Muncie, told me once that that Shlomo learned with your father of Chavrusa, and when a boy stopped coming to the Shia, he would say, you know what you're missing? Explosion, and he closes the Gemara. He walked out of the room, came back 15 minutes later, opened the Gemara, and he didn't talk anything. He says, Rabbi say, you know where I went? They never had children. Shlomo Haim and his wife didn't have any children. My wife, he said, is home alone. I was sure the explosion shook her. The explosion shook her up. I went to check up on her and see how she's doing. He closes the Gemara. That's Shlomo Haim who didn't battle a Shia. Famous, he once gave a Shia for one person. A snowstorm, I think it was Shmuel Kamenetsky was the one he shared before Shlomo. Shmuel Vayita Etel. Before Shlomo, I think he was the one that came to the Shia. He didn't care. One person in the Shia didn't care. But he heard an explosion, he ran. We have to think everything we do. Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. We make mistakes. We can make mistakes on a daily basis, Rabbi. On a daily basis. You say a wrong word. You bully a kid. You make him feel bad. You know how long they carry it around in their heads in the kishkas. You know, they can carry it around for so long. We'll be so nizar. So careful how we talk to them. Talk to anybody, Rabbi say. We'll be Zeicher with Hashem. If we do Shuv Yisrael Ad Hashem Alekecha, we'll be Zeicher, Tekui Bachem Dvarim, V'shuvu Al Hashem. Thank you for inviting me. Baruch Hasim Tova.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Good.